with GritCycle, and today I have three amazing women with me, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things, but primarily focusing around our partnership with TACA. It's our second year partnering with them, and we are so excited. And I'm going to let Lisa introduce herself. We have two Lisas to introduce herself. However, I love what she said right before we started talking, that April is TACA Action. It's Autism Action Month, right? Not just Awareness Action Month. So that's why we're all here. We are going to discuss how autism has impacted each of their lives and how we as their community can create action. So we'll just start with a brief introduction of each of you and your relationship to TACA.
Awesome. I'm Lisa Ackerman. I'm the co-founder and executive director of TACA. And I'm so grateful for friends and partners like Grit and these great ladies that are here joining us today. My connection is my 24-year-old son, Jeff. To see him today is a walking miracle.
And I'm Dana Crusil, and I have an adult sibling with autism who is 33, and I also work in the industry, in the field, so I feel like I live autism daily. And I'm so grateful to Lisa and TACA, and I think I've been involved with the organization a little over 5 years now, and it's been amazing and so supportive and helpful for me and my family. So.
And I'm Emily Grant. I'm a longtime Grit writer out of Long Beach, a little shout out. I have an 8-year-old son, Owen, who is on the spectrum. He was diagnosed at about 20 months and now gotten involved with TACA because of Grit last year. Lisa and I connected outside of the TACA ride afterward, and I'm now on the Gala committee for this year and getting more and more involved every day.
Awesome.
I'm just very grateful for the opportunity.
It's another connection Grit did. Thank you.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
That makes my heart
Yeah. Look what happened.
happy. Okay, so Autism Action Month is every April. What action would each of you like to see?
It's like start where you have the most opportunity to make a difference. And sometimes it's just knocking on a neighbor's door and saying, hey, I'm a friend, I'm going to Costco. Do you need anything? Can I take you out, get you drunk and home safely? My kid's having a birthday party. Would you like to be part? We'd love to include you. Action could also be supporting TACA. We have so many events coming up. Grit is a really important event coming up in April. So really, it's like whatever gift you have and whatever tools you feel you can give, it's needed, and everything's going to help. And so sometimes it's just being a friend, and sometimes it's doing a little more. I call it if you don't have autism in your family, there by the grace of God, you go, and maybe what you could do is be a friend and support the 1 in 44.
I would say having conversations with the younger people in your lives. So your own kids around the dinner table, or your nieces or nephews, what do they know about autism? Do they have any questions? And just opening up that conversation about how not everybody thinks the same, not everybody communicates the same. Maybe you have a kid in your class who's eating lunch alone, those types of things, and just really helping our neurotypical kids get really comfortable with people who aren't like them.
I love that. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it starts at home, and it's just educating your kids on inclusion and what that means, and supporting businesses that hire people that are more neurodiverse, and being friendly to those workers, and just having an open dialogue with your family and your kids, because it starts there.
Do you guys have any suggestions as to how to open that dialogue up? As someone who has a baby, she's 8 months old now, and thinking like, okay, what's a good age to have that conversation with her? How do you start that conversation?
It's so great. This year we're launching our first Be a Friend campaign, and it's directed to kindergartners. So you can do that as early as, you're sitting 2 babies down, share toys, and be kind. That's just a great message for the itty bitties. But our curriculum is available for kids K through 12, and it's free. So that's one thing that people can do. cute little cards, little wristbands, that just give you tips on how to be a good friend.
Yeah. Great.
I absolutely echo all of TACA's resources, what they have available. And at the risk of sounding basic, also really recommend Sesame Street and their character Julia. So they have a character who's on the spectrum.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
think it's a great way to introduce the conversation with your own kids. And I have a stack of books. So when Owen has a new friend come over, not so much now that he's a little bit older, but when he was younger, and I provide a book to the parents for them to take home so they can read the book at night with their child. And
Oh, that's great.
start the learning process. And kids are so resilient and open. So if you just teach them so young, it gets ingrained in them. And I don't even think they notice or feel the difference other than, oh, okay, this is Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
just
sign.
being kind, right? And
Teaching kindness.
teaching kindness and
Acceptance.
acceptance and that everyone's different. And a lot of times we don't even know maybe someone is struggling with something or is even diagnosed, right? And it's just being kind, I think.
I love that.
Be kind.
Sometimes a hard concept.
Yeah, it is. Can we teach that to adults?
Right?
Yeah.
That's the,
Yeah, we're talking about kids.
Yeah.
Let's go to adults too, right? What is the current rate of autism and is it on the rise?
I always love answering that question. It's 1 in 44 U.S. children are diagnosed with autism. In the state of California, it's 1 in 24 8-year-olds, 1 in 22 4-year-olds. So when Jeff was diagnosed, he was 1 in 5,000. So to see the number today, we see often people try to explain it away, like, oh, it's just better awareness, better diagnosis, widening variety of services, which makes me want to choke with those words. Especially during COVID right now, services are cut in so many ways. Many families, about 75% of our families don't have any access to services right now. So autism is on the rise. We can't make excuses. Let's say we missed them before. I don't even like to say that because that's not accurate. What are we doing about it now?
Right.
Let's just not make excuses. Let's take action.
Yeah. I remember you and I talked about that last year when we did our live. And one of my follow-up questions to you was, is it that there are more children with autism or more people with autism, or is it that our diagnostics are better? And you explained that no, it's actually exactly the same now as it was, 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, there was a minor modification, but it was more exclusive, not inclusive. That's in this 1 in 44 number. So we actually have more kids than more kids.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And there's a great guy out of Rutgers University that's been counting kids on the spectrum for over 22 years. And he looks at me every year and goes, Lisa, what's it going to take for people to care?
Hopefully soon.
Thank you. And that's why we do stuff like this.
Yes.
So we get people to care. Thank you.
And that's why there are people like you.
Awesome.
All right, next question. How could your community better support you and your family?
I think this question makes me think about my very best friend, Kara, who, without knowing her, firsthand what to do or what to say, she had no experience with it, and neither did I. It was a new world for everybody, and I didn't know how to tell her what I needed. I don't even know that I knew what I needed. But instantly, she did quite a few things. And first, she's just wildly empathetic. So when I want to laugh about something funny that Owen does, because he is funny, she laughs with me. When I want to be mad, she's mad with me. When I want to cry, she doesn't sugarcoat it. She says, that sucks. And she cries with me. And it's just the most supportive feeling. She doesn't try to make something positive that's not. She doesn't write me off. She's just very real and in the moment with me. She tells me all the time I'm a great mom. I have my sea legs under me. I've been doing this for 7 years. And to this day, I swear almost every time, I don't even know if she realizes she does it, but when we hug by, she'll tell me, you're a great mom, hardest working mom I know. And it's just the most supportive thing. She talks to her own kids. I never asked her to do that, but one story that kind of comes to mind is it was an Easter egg hunt. And I remember I'm sure you both can appreciate this, that's a, no pun intended, hopped up situation for an autism mom kind of with a 3-year-old. And I remember thinking it's sensory, I should be in there trying to do two-step related directions, doing all these things, it's bilateral movements with OT. I should be on it. I'm gonna get in it. Sorry if I'm giving you PTSD, but that's how we approach every situation. And Easter egg hunt's not just an Easter egg hunt. It's work, it's learning, it's an opportunity. And I remember at that one in particular, I must have been 3, her daughter must have been 4 or 5. And instantly she just looked at her daughter and basically said, "You're on, go. Do not drop his hand." And so they had clearly had this whole conversation outside of it. Yeah, and she took him and held his hand, and I don't think her daughter got a single Easter egg that day. But it was certainly, you're already, I'm sorry, I got
Seriously.
but it's, it was, what a great way to make both of those kids better people. And so that was just something, she's always really been proactive talking to her kids. And she has a relationship with my son independent of me. They send each other text messages, videos. She shares stories about her kids with him, and he loves seeing it. It makes him feel really special and really seen.
Kara for president.
I know. But it's just such a I wish more friends and more community members wouldn't be so afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
That's just something so small, but and I can understand it's coming from a beautiful, place of love or concern that people just don't know what to say, so they end up not saying anything.
Right.
And I love the questions. I love to talk about it. This is a wonderful opportunity that Grit's giving us. So just ask us. We're always available. I think people want to talk about it. Want to talk about it.
That's where it came from.
I think of just like our community and employing people with autism and supporting businesses that do that. There's some coffee shops in Orange County that only employs people with special needs. There's other more traditional places like grocery stores, or, my sister works at a retail store and she's worked there for 5 years. And, I think it starts there in supporting those businesses and people on the spectrum. At least my sister, they want to be integrated into the community. They want to contribute, and that's really important to them. And so I think it's also, if you're a customer in a store and you notice maybe one of the people that are working there maybe answering a little bit slower or look a little bit lost, or maybe, look like they're struggling a little bit, to support them and be kind and, tell them they're doing a good job and give them that positive praise and things like that. Because that's really important. It's important that we employ people with autism so that, they can contribute and they can be integrated into society and community and things like that. So that's what comes to my mind.
Two beautiful situations and every variation in between. And I like what both of you had to say. And I think asking questions and just being kind and supportive, I think it goes a long way. It goes a long way.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure some of that is not easy to talk about. So, yeah. Biggest misconception of autism that you would like to dispel?
I can go.
Yeah.
I think it's that everyone on the autism spectrum is some type of savant or genius, right? That they have some superpower, right? That's a very small population that's on this end of the spectrum. That's not the reality for most families that are dealing with maybe kids on the spectrum that are more impacted. And I think, that they all have photographic memories, or, they're just quirky. Like that's a stereotype, and that's not the norm, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. I would add 2 things. One, that it's not a bad thing. I think it has a negative connotation on it for some reason, and it's not a bad thing. Autism is not my journey. It's my son's, or, not even his, but just a word used to describe some things that he goes through. But that being said, it's still probably the biggest gift I've ever received in my life, truly. I mean, I'm a completely different person because of it. And again, it's not mine to own, it's his, but I've had to dig down deep into the levels of my patience. Yes. I mean, and as a parent, I can't tell you, I mean, to be in love with someone who can't understand you. I can't explain how difficult that is to parent in that world, and to really, really dig deep and to try to find ways to connect with that person. And they're the thing you love most in life. and you can't get through to them. And so bringing in BCBAs and BIs with the work that Dana does, God said, changed our life, changed our son's life. Yeah, I mean, and I can't say enough to that. So, but like everything in life, it's an experience and it's a gray area. It's not black or white. It's not good or bad. And there are so many beautiful, wonderful things that comes because of this journey that my family's on. And it's just made us all far better people. And we're really grateful for it. The second thing I would add is that it's very physical. And I think a lot of people think that it's a social or a communication thing, and that's kind of where the buck stops. It's fine motor skills. So my son had to work really, really hard to grip a pencil, which he can do now beautifully because of occupational therapy. He struggles with gross motor skills, so he's going to be 9 this year. We are nowhere close to riding a bike. Not going to happen, for quite a while, and that's okay. He doesn't have that core strength. He doesn't have some of the things, the balance that he needs to do activities like that. Those are things we work on every day, but it is a very physical disorder as well.
Just beautiful what these guys said to add. Once you meet one person with autism, you met one person with autism, so it kind of goes along with what Dana. And really, some people are like, well, I think the recipe is just acceptance. And I want to caution people, acceptance is a great feeling, and we should be accepting of all people, not just people on the autism spectrum. People with autism also need help. They need early intervention, therapeutic, social skills, medical intervention, and patience for medical intervention. I know we've talked about different scenarios that we faced, where people will write off a medical issue. That's just autism. No, it's not. And you've got to deal with the kid that's tearing apart your waiting room and understanding what those underlying physiological issues they're experiencing and how to address it. So I always want to caution people who say, well, I've done my job, I'm accepting. Accepting should come naturally. Action needs to happen as well. And these families that we serve need help. That's mine.
Okay, next question. Can a child with autism benefit from early intervention and medical treatment?
Yes! I think the biggest takeaway, early intervention's great, medical intervention's great. Doesn't matter if they're 27 or 2, get on it. And it's never game over, it's always game on. I don't care if you're just finding TACA today and you've got a 22-year-old. We can help. I don't care if you suspect you have a kid with autism who's 2. We can help. It's about taking action where you are. Don't look at regrets in the back. Just move forward.
Would you say that first step is just to go to your website and just start exploring?
Yeah, sign up and join a meeting. They're free. They're virtual and in person. Get a free mentor. Go to one of our family events. They're amazing. People, I love it because a kid will throw a wobbler of a tantrum and there'll be 15 people going, my kid can have a tantrum, yours. Do you need a cold drink? How can I help you? Do you need your bag to be picked up? I mean, it's just friendly people ready to be there to support. Sorry, I dove.
No, I'm glad you did. Echo everything that Lisa said and would add, early intervention changed my son's life. It changed his life. He started out as a nonverbal kid. In fact, he lost words. So he was diagnosed with regressive autism in the beginning, which I'm sure you're
saying.
Yeah, I mean, and you just watch, it's terrifying as a parent. Like with every specialist you meet with or doctor or anybody, you watch the color just drain from their face when you tell them that your kid has lost words. And, so he started in that boat and now he's in a mainstream classroom. And I 100% credit that to people like Dana, to BCBAs, to ABA therapy, to BIs, to OT, to speech, to everything that we have done in early intervention in particular. That's just our case. I'm with you. Yeah. It's never game over. It's always game on. But I firmly believe we rewired his brain.
Right. The trajectory is better with early intervention. But if your child doesn't receive it,
right,
you still have great benefits and the trajectory still can be improved.
Absolutely.
So for people who are out there going, well, crap, I didn't get on it. Get on it now. It's a great time. And don't look backwards, look forward. So I can't say that enough because parents carry enough guilt for no reason. God bless them. Sorry, Dana.
I mean, I agree. And I think, it's important to tap into the resources that are available. And I'm just working in care coordination. I can tell you so many parents don't even know what they can even access with Medi-Cal, with primary insurance, with the regional center. Like they're unaware. I'm like, oh my gosh, you could be getting this. You could be getting this. It's not advertised. It is with TACA because we give you those resources, but a lot of other places it's not. And I'm always surprised and sad when I meet someone who has a child who's maybe 8, who's been diagnosed since they were 2, and they don't even know half of the things they could be accessing. So
Yeah, and we want to change that.
right.
That
It should
will
be
take some
full
time.
disclosure. It should be easy to access that information. I feel like
Right.
you guys make it easy with like your journey guide and all those things, but
Totally.
it's not with other avenues, or it's just not as easily accessible, I guess. And
Still the case.
Yeah.
And the way Temple Grandin was diagnosed in the 50s is still how we do it today. So, and I think we have room for improvement. So I think any family facing autism needs TACA in their corner, and that will help empower them, show them the way, and get the word out what they need to do, and not necessarily fight for, but advocate for.
Yeah.
There's fighting sometimes.
I cannot say enough about the journey guide.
Oh, thank you.
It's, I mean, from people, and I've told Lisa this many times, but she blazed the trail for moms like me. That we have 2 totally different experiences, and I hear about her experience and go, oh my gosh, that's why it's so much better for my kid today.
And then Dana's mom. I mean, my gosh,
it was a different time 30 years ago.
and
for
even,
sure.
you go back 50 years, the kids were taken away from them because they were refrigerator moms, which has been dispelled in the 70s, and given psychotherapy, and that was the treatment. Child got taken away and placed in an institution, and the moms got therapy. It's just mind-boggling, the history. So kudos and love to families that have been on this path a long time. But, now that we know what we know, there's so much we can do, be empowered by.
Okay, so just a couple more questions. The next one is, how has fitness impacted your life?
Yeah, I guess I'll take that one. Well, I mean, the obvious, the me time. I think having that time to myself makes me, fills my cup, so to speak. I also think too, I think it's Raina who says this in class sometimes, that who we are on the bike, who we show up as in the saddle room is who we are also outside, that it translates. And for me, that's so true. It's so true. I work hard in there. I am very, to have a place as an adult that's, your playground, your authentic self. I am my best version of me in that room at times, and taking that energy and bringing it back out and giving it to my family. It, what fitness does, it makes me a better fill in the blank, better everything, mom, friend, worker, wife, everything. So that whole connect, it does, doesn't it? It's
Totally.
just, yeah. I mean, it's, and I think people either get it, there's 90% of the people watching this going, yes, and 10% going, huh? But I mean, so there are people who get that, but it's just so true. And even to have tangible goals as an adult and feel that growth, to go into that room and go, I did that thing that was really hard. And if I can do that, I can do this. It just kind of translates really, really well.
Yeah.
And I think what's great too about having a space that you can do something physical, is it like Grit or whatever kind of fitness medium you connect to, is it kind of almost gives you a little bit of an instant community, right? Even if you don't really know the people's names around you, just being able to be in a space where you're surrounded by really good energy just helps you feel like you're a part of something, which I think is so important.
Yes. It's a family on the outside.
Yeah. 3 of my closest friends have come just from Grit. 2 of them were fellow, truly, like,
Awesome.
2 of them were fellow riders who we would just kind of end up next to each other. And it's like, I just like what she's doing there. She's making this fun for me.
Yeah.
And, now we hang out outside of Grit and have developed really, really lovely friendships and mean a lot to me.
Love that. You're a great girl too, right, Jan?
My Grit is very close to my house. So yeah, I mean, it's just an outlet. It's good.
You can be in the back corner and just kind of shut off,
Mhm.
or you can be in the front row hooting and hollering,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you can,
Yep, I'm the one in the back.
like whatever
Same.
you need, like whatever you need that day, you know, you can just take what you need.
You are you in there.
Yeah.
No apologies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No apologies.
I look at exercise just if I'm taking care of myself, that's what my kids see. And
Oh, so true.
so, like with Jeff, he had gross motor issues too, couldn't run, and so we just started with the basics. Let's go for a long walk after dinner, and then now we're going to jog walk, and you know we do a chant, bye bye toxins, because it's shut him out when he was little.
Oh.
Bye bye toxins. So he would chant it and run, and it's so important, and he loves exercise. It's part of his life, and he gets that from us. So if we lead by example, that's our outlet, you know, and it's a good outlet to reorganize your brain. It keeps you less stabby, bitey, punchy, you know. So it's an important reorg.
Yeah, it produces all those really good chemicals in your brain.
Totally.
I always say never regret working out.
So true.
Like-
Oh my
Like,
gosh, so
you know,
true.
like even if I don't feel great
Yeah.
going into it,
Yeah.
like there are days when I'll be at home with, you know, the baby and like I really don't feel like going on a walk right now, but it's like I know I need it, and so it's like, okay, let's go in the stroller out for a walk, right? And then afterwards, I'm just so glad I did that. Even you know, it just, you never regret doing something good for yourself and leading by example for your children. Like it just is all, you know.
I think that's such an important point, the leading by example for your children. I rented a bike from Grit during the second shutdown in 2020, and I used to feel that mom guilt thing is very real and very silly at times. And so I used to feel terrible about going outside and riding the bike. Sorry if I wasn't supposed to have the bike outside, but I totally did.
It was well cared for.
Yeah, it was fun. It was so fun. Got tan at the same time. So I would go outside and ride that bike, and initially I would feel terrible about leaving Owen or giving myself that hour. And lo and behold, he used to come outside and read a book, and he would cheer me on when I rode that thing,
Aww.
and he loved it. And so now when I go to Grit, he gets it, he's supportive, but it was like, gosh, that's so silly of me to feel bad about taking an hour to ride a bike. He loved it. He was super into it. He was proud of me. And so I think that example thing is such a great point.
And you can start at the, you know, just as a family, just walk
Yeah.
after dinner.
Yeah.
Great way to get going.
It is.
Yeah,
It's good bonding too.
totally. I'm like, you want dessert? Walk for it. Sorry. That's what happens when you live at my house.
Work for your dessert. Yeah. All right, we have just one more question. What do you want to see in the future for all people diagnosed with autism?
Oh man, just dream-filled lives and the path to get there. You know, when Jeff was born, I got my daughter and him both when I was in New York on business, future president of the United States t-shirts. I feel kids on the spectrum, their siblings and everyone around them, they could be whoever they want to be, just like anyone else. And all we have to do is give them a little help and hope. Magic Johnson. Kids can do anything. Yeah.
I would like to see more resources for adults. I'm, you know, full disclosure, like very concerned with the adult population as far as, you know, housing goes, as far as supports for adults. We know there's supports for kids and adolescents and teenagers, but you know, those kids are now adults and they can't live with their parents forever. They may not need to live in some fully supported environment, but you know, maybe something that's semi-monitored, or there are not enough of those resources. And I know that's one of TACA's initiatives. But it's a real concern for people that have adults impacted by autism.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. And I work in the industry. I'm very well versed on the resources, and I'm not struggling to.
You're calling me going,
I'm struggling to
No
find,
problem.
you know, viable options for most adults. So yeah.
Agreed. It is a priority.
I would say inclusion in the classroom and in our schools, especially for these mild, moderate kids. I understand that some parents may opt, if they have a child who's severely autistic or has a more serious special need, that it does make sense for them to be separated. But in every other area, religion, sex, race. We are completely diverse and inclusive in our education system, except for special needs. And I don't get
That's a
it.
great point.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of the place where separate but equal is still okay. And so, instantly Owen had to make that transition from being in a special day class over to a mainstream classroom, and he did it mid-year. And the kids noticed. And he was bullied right away within 2 weeks, was physically touched twice at school. Kids aren't dumb. They get it. But I think that it really does a service to both the special needs child and the neurotypical child by bringing them all together early. Because what happens is they graduate from high school, they go out into the real world, and these kids don't have any experience with anybody who has any sort of special need because we kept them separate on campus for their entire lives. And then we've got to go into the working world. We have to work with them. We have to do all these other things. We have to communicate. We see them in our stores, and we don't know how to act because we were never exposed to it. So I would love to see just really early on that inclusion in the school setting, in sports settings, and all of those places for younger children.
Not to sideline or to like throw rich in there, but like me just hearing you say that, like to me that's very powerful. And I mean, like, how does that change even occur? Like, is it like an organization like yours that steps into schools and tries to create that like inclusion of everybody in the classroom? Like, how does that even begin to change?
We start one family at a time, and it's first empowering the parents. Empowering the parents to ask and find the least restrictive environment that's the most suitable for their kids. And parents are a good judge, and sometimes they're told, oh, we're experts, we got this. And it's like,
By the school.
yeah. Or somebody with some acronyms behind their name, not Dana. She's great. But my point is just sometimes it's knowing what's possible makes it possible. So just talking about it and doing it one family at a time is actually the best strategy. Making sweeping changes to a school, it's hard to put their fingers around it, but they can look at that little kid and go, yes, we're going to do it for that kid. And then they get done with that kid and they go, great, now this one over here, let's see what we can do to support this one in the same way.
Is there education that's occurring right now in schools to, kind of start that conversation with children, like as opposed to us having the conversation as an adult?
Yeah, we have that Be a Friend project that's available for the elementary kids, and it's available for Autism Action Month for free on our website. And we can get it to every classroom here in Orange County. We're working hard to do that. Well, actually, we have a goal of 250, but I want to blow that out the window. But my point is like it just starts with asking the question, what do you have? And then you tell us what you need, and we get it to you. And Dana will probably deliver a couple of bags. I know Em's going to grab a couple of those bags and make sure their classrooms are well aware of how to be a friend.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate all three of you. I know sometimes talking about stuff like this can be difficult and emotional. But like you said, it's what creates action, right? Not just awareness, but action. And so appreciate all three of you being open and sharing just a little bit about yourselves and your experience with TACA and just how autism has impacted your lives. And so excited that we get to partner with you again. So excited. We're gonna do our TACA ride on April 23rd. And we're gonna blow those donations out of the water this year.
So excited, so grateful for the friendship. So grateful putting purpose with business and community. It's all the difference.
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you to all.
Thank you, Grit.